Welcome back to Box 2, myself, Jamie Jones-Buchanan, in partnership with Best Western Hotels GB, who want you to know that you can get the very best deals by booking directly with them online at bestwestern.co.uk, in the knowledge that you'll be supporting local independent hotels. This time we're joined in Box 2 by Leeds Rhinos Sporting Director Ian Blease. Ian, it's not quite been the 100 days in which people sort of review the early times at the club, but how's the first 80 or 90 been? What are some of the biggest achievements that you've been able to get over the line in that time?
I think, yeah, thanks for this, Jamie. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, I think coming in slightly rather quicker than I expected when I was first approached about the job. I think one of my objectives was to try and improve the team and be a bit of difference in my first few months, which is where I'm at now. Hopefully, we've done a little bit of that on the pitch. That was my main aim, to get us better as a first team on the pitch. But obviously, lots of other facets within the club in terms of the scholarship, the academy, the women's teams, the disability teams, the learning disability teams, etc., and the netball as well. So, I think one of my best achievements has been meeting everybody. There's so many people to meet and greet, and name overload in that first month. You know, remembering everybody. And obviously delivering a better product on the pitch is what we're about, and I think we've done a little bit of that. We're not the article yet, are we? But we're having a good go at it at the moment. Looking
through that shop window, it's interesting you mention it there. I've been fortunate to have been a part of the club for a lot of years, but sometimes forget people looking at it from outside in, the perception that they've got coming into the club. So having coming here, and you mentioned all those teams, all those people, has it been overwhelming? What has been the disparity, the difference between what you was expecting and what you found?
Yeah, from the outside in looking at it, I knew it was a big club. Probably not as big as until I get inside it's significantly bigger than what I thought it was going to be, which wasn't a surprise, but you just I've been in a big few organisations in my career, so I know what size is about and the way it all works from top to bottom. But it was an eye opener them first few weeks. And everybody was coming to me really with different bits and pieces from their divisions and their departments, which was good because that's what I wanted, because I'm an open person. But getting underneath all that now is the interesting part, and that's what I'm on with at the moment.
And the big one, I suppose, let's get into some of the meaty stuff there with Brad Arthur, because he's made a notable change, difference to me. I've really been excited to see him, to get to know him. I've had him on Box 2, see some of the incremental changes that he's had in the team, and I think it's visible on the field as well. A lot of people are encouraged by it. How does that come about when you spot a gap and a need? And then how do you go about the process of filling that gap and finding somebody like a Brad Arthur?
Yeah, and again, looking from the outside in, I knew things weren't right. I could see that, but I didn't know the detail, and it didn't take me long to get behind that detail, really. And then obviously getting in contact with Brad through his agent, really, who I've known for many, many years. Brodie Croft's agent as well. We were speaking about candidates, and that's what I'll do. I'll always approach everybody in the UK and mainly in Australia, a few in New Zealand as well, to find out who would be the best candidate for this club. In terms of like how long it took me, it was, I think I said it the other night, one of the awards nights, it took me about 5 minutes to realise Brad could make a real difference at this club, which I hope he's doing, and he is doing. Can't wait for him to have a full pre-season with the boys, and if we can strengthen the team a little bit along the way, that's what we'll do. But he's a man of honesty and integrity. I picked that up straight away, and you get you've been around the dressing room, Jamie, you get that feeling of that presence of a good man manager. I had that straight away within 30 seconds of me speaking to him. You wanted to, be involved with him, and when he's talking, I could listen to him for hours. He's really endearing in that way, and a great guy, honest guy. But he has that, and I use Alex Ferguson because I'm a big Manchester United fan. Sorry, Leeds, Rhinos fans and Leeds United fans. Alex Ferguson had that edge on him, didn't he? Where you wanted to perform for him, but if you didn't, he'd be a hard taskmaster, and that's exactly what Brad is in rugby terms.
And did you know that? Had you met Brad prior? Because you spot an issue, maybe a problem, and you go, right, well, what's the perfect tool to put into this situation? And a lot of those variables are going to require the right character, the right person. He's got an unbelievable work ethic, as we've seen. And that's been impressed upon the team. But how did you know, or I don't know, become aware of the fact that he was an attractive guy to bring here?
Yeah, and I'll do a lot, same with the players really. And I think I've employed about 3 or 4 coaches now in my time. I'll do a lot of due diligence in the background and do a lot of research on the family. And I do it with players as well, obviously. Speak to people in and around where they've been and managed before or played before. So I'll do all that and then speak to the person. And we talk pretty frank and open. To this day, we're still honest and open with each other. We'll call a spade with each other. And we said from day one, let's just be dead honest with each other on where we want to be in terms of this club. And Brad's still got ambitions in his life, and I have, and that's fine. And obviously we signed him for another 12 months, but I wanted a bit longer, but it's pretty clear from me there was other issues around it. And then one day he came into me and told me the reasons why he only wants 12 months, and I got it straight away. I stopped pushing for a bit longer because I know, and he said to me, we'll talk next year about the year after, and I believe that. So we've got a great and honest relationship. But I knew with him being in 10 years in the NRL, that takes some doing, doesn't it? You know, you've got to have some good qualities as a manager and as a person, as a human being, and he has got all that. And I am really excited to what he can bring to us for the rest of this year, obviously, and obviously into next year. And
you mentioned NRL, you're picking from the very top of the cherry tree there. So when you look at somebody like Brad Arthur, he's available, might be the right person as well, but then you've got to overcome the challenge of the fact, why would an NRL coach, a well-founded NRL coach, by the way, want to come over to Super League? Because let's be right, you know, the big prizes, as we know, are over there. How do you navigate those challenges?
Yeah, and I think, you know, let's not underestimate the pull of this club. It's up there, isn't it, in terms of rugby league clubs? And I remember on the interview when I came for the job, one of the staff said to me, "Why do you want to come here? You know, you've sort of like been at Salford and everything's all right for you there." And I was thinking, well, I said to the lady actually, well, do you realise what you've got here? It's really significant, and it's a big club. And Brad recognised that from the onset and knew that. So it wasn't a hard sell for me in terms of Brad about Leeds. It was just he needs to get used to Super League and how that operated. But he knew us as a club, and obviously speaking to him straight away. And I think there's a bit of destiny in life, and certainly in rugby, you know that well. Not luck. It's not luck. I'm a big believer. It's not luck. It's destiny. And there was destiny for Brad Arthur to be available at that time for the Rhinos, and that's what's happened.
Well, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, according to the Stoic philosophers. So let's go into your origin story then. So you've prepared to be the character, the person with the occupation that you've got. How did that come about post-playing career? Tell us a bit about your playing career and then how you got into this role after you retired. So,
yeah, a quick journey in my life would be I was football mad as a kid growing up. Soccer is big in Manchester. That's where I'm from, Salford. And wanted to play football, wanted to be a footballer. My auntie bought me a pair of George Best boots. I'm going back some time now. And so I was fixated on Manchester United. My dad and my brother were City fans, but I was United. Wasn't quite good enough to make it at football. And they stopped me playing football at school because I won't play rugby league. That was bizarre. So I didn't quite like the game when I was younger. And then left school. One of my pals at the time said, come down to the local amateur club at Folly Lane. And I played there for 6 months. And within 12 months, I was signed for Salford. I had a few other clubs. Played there for 12 years. Captain, had a few joys along the way. But like same as you, Jamie, it's given me everything I've got, really, rugby league. It's, you know, and I didn't, particularly as a young kid, set out on that path. I want to be a rugby player. Didn't like education, but again, I've ended up doing 2 master degrees, which I'm proud of. So I sort of like formed my life when I was 19, signed for Salford, knew that to be dedicated in rugby, you've got to have certain facets and behave in the right place, which I think I did throughout my career. And then I decided I didn't want to be a coach at the end of my career because I saw how bad they were treated in terms of, you know, you only got a job for 1 year, 2 year or whatever. And then went into business, and I had a job at the time working for the local authority. And actually the first year of Super League, the council let me train and do my job at the same time, which was quite good of them. So I owe the Salford Council a lot. They let me go in the morning, sort all the lads out because I was a contract manager at the time, then go and train and then go back to work in the afternoon. So I did that for over 2 years. And then went into business and got, you know, really into my business qualifications and career, got headhunted a few times for national companies. And then a good pal of mine was a football agent, and he said to me, do you want to come and do the rugby side in my company? And I ummed and hard for a few years on it, but we ended up setting it up. I think within 2 years, I'd signed like Marc Sneyd, Jordan Abdul, and I think I had about 10 players, something like that, a couple of coaches. And it was when I started dealing with Marwan Kukash at Salford via Marc Sneyd, took him to Castleford and then to Hull. And I think that was the first time anyone had ever said to Marwan, no, because Marwan wanted him to come back to Salford, Mark, and he wouldn't go back. And I built a relationship off Marwan off the back of that, and we spent a bit of time together. And then bizarrely, after about 9 years of me being an agent, he said, I want you to come to the club, but only if we win the £1 million game.
Right.
at Hull KR.
I was there.
Yes, I was there. So he invited me as his guest, Jamie, thinking, so I'm going to go and join the club who I played for, probably dream job. And I've said it was my dream job at the time. I've been an agent, but I always probably wanted to go back into club land, but not as a coach. And with 30 seconds to go, and Hull KR beating Salford, I'm thinking, I'm not getting my dream job here. And obviously, the rest is history. They won. And I ended up going to Salford within the next month. Was there for 8-9 years and had a fabulous time whilst I was there. I put that on record. They've been a great club to me.
And you've played a big part in that as well. Let's be fair. I mean, when you go there to cut your teeth, master your craft, I think about players like you've mentioned Brodie, Croft, Jackson, Hastings, and Salford. People always say have overperformed when you compare them to maybe some of the resources we perceivably see them that they have. What is the key ingredient to that?
Yeah, it's a good question. And again, I think there's a bit of destiny in there. Some might call it luck. Because we didn't have a lot of money, I had to make sure we got the recruitment absolutely bang on. And that'll be the same here. I will never lose that same philosophy. We've got to get the right people within the club at the right positions for the coach and the philosophy and the rugby that he wants to play. So I'm really keen on that and getting that right and making sure we recruit good human beings. First and foremost, they can play rugby. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in this atmosphere. But are they a good person? Are they going to bring the right values to the team, the club, etc.? And that's what we did. And you've mentioned Jackson and Brodie, but there was others, like Dion Cross, who's still playing now. Yeah. Fabulous. And Tyler Dupree we got, and so we've done it over the years, and I ain't taking credit for it. The coaches make the magic happen on the pitch, and I will never ever, I am not a coach, but I'll try and assist them and help them and back them all the way. And that's what I try and do. And we're doing the same with Brad now. Obviously, we're looking for a couple of recruits, and it's what Brad wants. I'll get him what he wants and make sure they fit in seamlessly to this club. And I think that's just the basics around recruitment. And every recruitment manager in the game, sport, will tell you that, but it's about getting it right and not getting it wrong. And they have to do that sort of because one or two wrong in a squad size so small would affect it. It's not too bad here. I don't want to get anything wrong, obviously, but there's a lot of, it's a bigger size squad and there's a lot of youth coming through, which is great for the club as well. But you've got to get your recruitment bang on.
It's interesting when you say is right, what is right? And certainly when you say the right people, the right values, what are those values? And it's a deep one, that. A lot of work. We could talk all day about this. Certainly in my role, I'm really keen on that, obviously culture, diversity and inclusion. But what are maybe just a bit of a highlight look at it? What are some of those key right things, values and characteristics in the good people? Yeah,
and I think respect is the biggest one. We've got to have mutual respect when we first meet, and we had a big chat about this when we first met, didn't we? We had our first meeting. I'm big on respect for each other's opinions. I like people to challenge each other as well within the work environment, but in a respectful way. So I like you to challenge me on anything and have a respectful conversation back. So that's big in terms of when you're getting the tactics right on the pitch, you've got to be able to go to the coach and say, what about this gaffer? Let's try this. So they've got to be strong enough personality-wise to bring their views to the team. They've got to be definitely good human beings. And not necessarily, and I've took some people along the way who have had misdemeanors in their lives as well. And I like giving people not a second chance, but an opportunity. You've got an opportunity to play for a big club here, but I bet my mindset's got to change. Can they handle playing at a big club like this? That's a big one for me at the moment when I'm thinking about players. Can they come here? And even the coaching systems, can they come and play and be a member of this team that's fit and right for Leeds Rhino? Because it's a lot different than being at a lower end club. It is, and that's something I've got to consider. But definitely respect, being able to challenge, a good personality. I do like to have a laugh in work as well. I think it's important that we smile and we enjoy each other's company. And sometimes that's not easy in rugby league, is it? It's not. And I know the club have been through a bit of a rough time, and the fans have got to be with us on that. We've got to be able to smile with each other, help each other, learn how to lose a little bit along the way. You've got to be able to do that in your personality traits. You've got to learn from your losses. But the big one for me is the winning. You've got to be a winner. You've got to have that winner mentality. That's significant for me as well when I'm going to purchase whatever you're going to offer me.
I love that, mate. Growing up in sport, winning is always king. Growing up in the north as well, interesting. The Leeds people, I suppose, in my own perception, are always quite hardworking, unassuming people. Don't really shout much. Manchester's not too far down M62. Yes, very gritty. I spend a lot more time in Manchester now, and a lot of the people that revolve around what you perceive as success in sport and business seem a bit over there, and they go get at it, and there's a culture, there's a grittiness to the Manchester people. Do you think there's some of that ingrained in you as well? Is it environmentally? Talk about Man City, Man United. They just seem to go get at it over there.
Yeah, and like coming from Salford, like I was thinking about the other night, we had a brief chat at the awards dinner. My mum was a cleaner, you know. She cleaned in school, so I've not come from far from a privilege. My dad was a joiner. I ended up being a joiner, an apprentice joiner, like my dad and my granddad. So I come from a working class background, you know, and I think probably, even though they didn't really preach to me about you must do this, you must do that, you know, I think I've just come from a hard working background, and the city of Salford is like that. It's a hard-working city. Manchester is Leeds. It's very similar in that aspect, and you can see that within the people. And rugby league gives you a great opportunity to achieve, and that's what happened in my life, really. I had an opportunity to achieve in this game, and hopefully I'll carry on doing it.
A lot of people look at Ian Blease coming in June, and they go, look at the great job he did at Salford on maybe little budgets, little resource. What's he going to achieve at Leeds? In your mind's eye, is that harder? Is that more pressure, or does it somewhat make life easier?
I see, yeah, and I see it as a challenge, a significant challenge, and I've always liked challenges and getting to grips with businesses and companies and turning it around. I like operational and organisational change. I'm a bit weird like that. I like to see change. I like to freshen things up and get the right people involved. And I know people don't like change, and we are going through a period of change. There is new staff coming in and players coming in, so people have got to accept that. Yes, there's pressure. Of course there is. We're a big club. We want to win things. The main thing is we get back on that pedestal, and you've done it many times, Jamie, and lift them trophies. That's ultimately, you know, what we're about. Not just the first team, into the women's team and everything else we're doing. So it's about winning. It's about engaging with the city. I want the city to be proud of the team that we're putting on there. That's every team, not just the first team. I want the city to be proud and saying, wow, and the Leeds Rhinos got it back on track and going again for us as a city. Really keen on that.
I like the way you're talking about winning and connecting the dots. You know, just reflecting a little bit there on the generation I was fortunate to come through with. We had a shirt launched recently, and it sort of tries to join the dots between today and an event 20 years ago, winning World Club Challenge at Ellen Road. And it's always nice. There's still people like myself, Kev, obviously Jamie Peacock and others, still well ingrained and connected to the club. We did an event last Friday, AMT Golf Day, and I sat and interviewed Tony DeRigo, part of the 91-92 championship winning side at Ellen Road, Leeds United, and Michael Bridges, who was part of that cool end of the 90s with the Woodgates, Boyers, Alan Smiths. And Tony DeRigo talked a little bit about how that early 90s team connected, and there was almost like this succession into the new one. Maybe we've been a little bit guilty of not quite achieving that, but there's still time because the connection's still young enough, short enough to do that. So when you reflect, how do we do that, Ian, and keep our memories of some of the days gone by, which are nice, but actually ultimately focus on the future as well?
Yeah, you know, I was listening to an interview with them, the Leeds guys. They were great, weren't they?
They were
fabulous in the way they... And football do it very well. Because as I said, my mate who got me into the agency side, and some of the things they do in football is class, and they keep the heritage and they keep the culture. We've got it here, haven't we, in the dressing rooms and the tunnel area. You can feel it. You can see it as you walk in. You know, yourself and JP and Kev are just a part of this club that should never, ever be forgotten or left. And that's part of the culture that I've said to you early doors, somehow want to bring back, not overload, but let's bring it into certainly the youth system and our pathways. I'm really keen on bringing them through for the club, for the city. We should be doing that. It helps with the salary cap as well, but that's another issue. But we want to bring kids in the city playing the game of rugby league that come through the scholarship, that come through the academy, that come through the reserves into the first team, depending on what format we have going forward. And I'm really keen on making sure we have the best of the city within this club. And I want to see, there's nothing prouder than seeing one of your graduates coming through the system and playing in first team. That's the best thing you can feel within a club. And I've not managed to do that so far because we didn't have an academy, but I'm so excited about the setup here. It's really good.
And talking about the youth then, it's a big challenge, isn't it? Because you mentioned the first protocol, new coach, first team. When that becomes autonomous, and I imagine when you approach the pre-season, then there's a little bit of time to shift into that. What are some of the most important factors, keys to consider when going at a youth system?
Yeah, and we're doing our planning now for pre-season, so even though the season's not finished, we're not losing focus on this season, don't worry. We're doing our planning for our pre-season. That's going to be really key to us going forward. And a big thing for me is, and we have got great facilities, the stadium's fabulous, isn't it? But, I went to Wigan recently, and the facilities that they've got now at Settington on, so we need to have a look at what we're offering our players. I want it to be the best place for a player to come and sign for, not just because it's Leeds Rhinos, because of the facilities and the offering we give them. And that's important for our youth systems as well. And, you've trained at Kirkstall virtually all your life. I think we're sort of like outgrowing that now, aren't we? So it's a big thing for me to get the facilities right. But Brad's going to bring a culture in that pre-season which makes me shiver. We've done pre-seasons and we know what they're like, and he's mentioning it already. And he's told them they're going to train a bit after the season finishes, whenever that is. So he's going to be great on that. And I'm really excited about seeing how he tailors his pre-season. I've seen a few of them over the years from his way from Para, bringing that into the Rhinos. It's going to be really exciting to watch.
Certainly is, and getting some of that character, and again the connection. A lot of people have questions, and you don't know what you don't know. So when we had our recent Gold Members Night, we threw it out to the audience to ask questions of Ian and Brad Arthur as well. And to be fair, some of them are just quite blunt, aren't they?
Yeah.
Why is this player going? Why are we not doing this? Why are we not signing that? Very judgmental, and they've got a right to do as well. I think there's sometimes the scales on my eyes. I've been a fan, I've been a player, I've been a coach. I've seen every corner of this club, but sometimes I can get caught up with a lot of gratitude at the totality of what the club brings in changing lives through sport. Everything from the women's through to the wheelchair learning, physical disability netball. Do some amazing stuff in dementia groups here today going on in the building, and it's really special. But ultimately, your hardcore Leeds Rhinos fan wants to come, sit in the south stand, north stand, whatever, and see Leeds Rhinos winning. In terms of, you mentioned it there, salary caps, players coming in, there's a limit to what you can do in the short term. So is there an air of we need some sort of patience and time for these things to germinate? Yeah,
I think there's got to be a realisation of that. And you're right, some of our members and fans can't quite see the detail we know that goes on in the background, and I appreciate that and I get that. But we are governed as a game by salary cap, which is what I've got to stick to. And I won't put the club in jeopardy in any way, shape, or form. Trying to build a team that's successful, but we've got operational rules that we've got to be guided by and use. So I've got to do that. So there's an element of me wanting to jump straight to the next level, but I know, given what I've walked into and took over, that's going to take a little bit of time. Obviously, with Reece leaving us and going to all KR, which is a massive blow to us, but we just couldn't get him on our cap at the price that he wanted to be at, and that's fine. And that's sport. That's what happens, Jamie. You know that well. He's gone on to pastures new. We shake his hand. He's been a great pro. We need to look at another one now or two if we can get anything else moving in the background as well. So we're governed by the salary cap, but I'll do my damnedest to bring the best to this club.
Sure. And look, you mentioned Reece Martin there. I really like Reece Martin. He's loved by a lot of the players. And the club obviously, I think he's played every minute of every game, certainly the last season. I think he's ever present this season as well. So when you think about cost versus value, there's a great deal of value in Reece Martin kicks goals. And he's been the centre of a lot of these conversations. But ultimately, there are variables, even where if you do want to keep a player, it's not always the case that you can keep them. So let's lean into people like, I don't know, Harry Newman when it comes to salary caps and maybe, I'm not saying he's a marquee player, but marquee players. When you get them through the youth, there's a lot more you can do. So it's beneficial there. And also, I just wanted to ask you about, in your experience, some of the connection around being together for a long period of time. So a lot of my players might just been the one variable of us being together, the nucleus of my generation anyway, from academy days right through. And the longer you're together, the more connection and intuition you get on the field and off it as well. So that's a big part, isn't it? It's longevity over time that brings success. Yeah,
you need to get that core stability of that group of players within there that hang around for a few years, don't you? If you keep chopping and changing, it won't bring you that continuity of stability and success that you're thriving. And and I've done some long contracts. I did one with Brodie for 7 years at Salford. But anyway, that's another story. But yeah, we need to get the youth through. We need to give them security in terms of, I want them to be paid well as best we can within the club's remit, but look after themselves and have some stability around, well, I know I'm going to be here for the next few years and I want to throw everything into being a part of this club. And that goes for an overseas player as well as a kid from Leeds or from wherever they're coming from at the moment. So we do need stability. We need good players who want to play for this club. That's really important to me. And I know what people say that players don't play for the badge anymore. You've got to become part of the Rhinos family. I mean, I am already. I feel it now within last week at London. I've never known myself get so annoyed at a game or upset or anxious. I was like, wow, this is just... So I'm in it now. I can feel myself. I'm in it. My family are in it as well. I caught my daughter singing last week. one of the lead songs, which is great. So you've got to become part of this club. I'm really keen on getting the staff and the players part of this club. Have a giggle along the way, but be dead serious when it comes down to business, and obviously offering players a bit of security in terms of contract term as well.
I want to be honest, you've reminded me actually. I know when you came in the gates the first few weeks, you had your Leeds Rhinos tie on a lot, and I got mine back out. I've worn mine quite a lot. I've really enjoyed it, and nice. Being a part of it again, just visually, I think is getting massive.
The players' suits. They've not worn suits for years, so the players are like.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's just little bits and pieces that I think are important for a club.
Yeah.
Maybe people call it old school, but I think certainly at home games we need to be smart. We need to look like professionals, which is what we are.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to bring a little bit of that in as well. Nothing major; it'll just happen.
And I suppose I'd ask you a bit about loyalty. You bring that up as well, And let's be right. Some of the questions on that Gold Members Evening, which was fantastic, by the way. I really enjoyed that. I've known maybe 350 of our fans come in and being a part of the shirt launch, got in the players and the coach there. Great experience there. But just talking about that loyalty, somebody says to me, it's a game that's changed. They're up play, you mentioned it there, they're up play for badge anymore. It's different to when you guys played. But it's a telltale sign, isn't it, when players want to stay, want to be part of a brand and a club like the Rhinos.
Yeah. You can see it, can't you? I mean, you've got Harry, you've got Ash, you've got Cam, who have been here, for many, many years now. How long may that continue? And that rubs off as well on other parties. And I remember my dad saying to me, I think we signed a guy called Steve Dickens from Yorkshire at Salford when I was playing. Yorkshiremen are never successful in Lancashire and all that. You can't have that anymore, can you? You've got to bring them within. And that's about us setting that culture, Jamie, that you spoke about them feeling welcome no matter where they come from, what area of the world or the country they come from, and being part of that Rhinos family. And that doesn't happen overnight. That takes a bit of time to build. But I think we're well on that now with Brad.
Tell me about Jackson Hastings and Brodie Croft. I only mentioned those players because they were notable players, winning likes of Man of Steel, big fan favourites. And regardless of whether you're a Salford fan or not, the game looked at them and went, wow, these are entertainers, superstars. And you might have other examples. You've mentioned Marc Sneyd, but how do you go about attracting some of those superstars? Because ultimately we're in the people business, aren't we? So it's being a good friend, a good person, and making sure as well that it's not just about the money they're receiving, but they've got a nice quality support network that's going to want to hold them in that environment. Yeah,
and first one, in terms of Jacko, the opportunity came, destiny, whatever you want to call it, to get hold of him. And I knew, I think me and Watto was speaking at the time about how he'd gone off the rails, and we knew all the background to it. So when we spoke to him and met him, we really laid down the law down into him really from the onset and said, this is the way we do it here. It won't be like you've had in the NRL, which was, I think, somewhat of a shock to him. But we ended up really close to him because he was on his own as well. I think Joey Lussick came not long afterwards, and they were pals anyway. But he ended up, and that's the type of person I think I am. If people want to get close to me, I'll let them. I have no problem with that. Even if it's like mixing work and pleasure with Jacko, it was like we used to go sort of like soccer games together and cricket and stuff like that. We ended up pretty pally. Brodie was a slightly different. I didn't get as much because he's got a family who came over here with him, but they were both looking for opportunities. They've fallen off the way in terms of the NRL. They were both looking for opportunities, and fortunately we were there to give them that opportunity. And I think they've both grown as players and as humans, doing what they did. They made a decision to come over here, which was risky for them, as well as us signing them at the time. But I think they've both proven to be quality players and quality people as well. They're both great people who are very fond of and close to. And for you as well, it was very much sat in a background. You're not wanting any lights on you, but it must give you a great deal of satisfaction and gratification to see somebody who wants an opportunity
make the most of it, grab it with both hands, and then, grow and fulfil their real potential, and then seeing them go on and do what they've done as well.
I agree, mate. And I'll use Marc Sneyd as the example. When I signed him when he was an agent, he was 17, 18. I took him to a local restaurant, we had a bite to it, and we signed the contracts. And then within 12 months, I think it was Brian Noble at the time, said he won't get in. I think Salford had signed Rangi Chase and a lot of other players, and Mark won't get in. I took him to Cass, and I think they got to Wembley that first year. And I remember him running out at Wembley, and me and my wife Sally were there, and I thought, for me, that was a great achievement. I thought to myself, I've done well for the kid there. I've got him out of a bit of, club didn't really want him, and he's walking out at Wembley. And then I think 2 years after, I got him to Hull, and he won, I think, 2 consecutive man of the matches at Wembley, which was better than I thought at the time. Any achievements that I did as a player, I really enjoyed seeing him do that, even though it wasn't me, which was bizarre. And I guess that's a satisfaction as a coach. I've never been one, you have, but I guess that's a satisfaction you get as a coach. I was really pleased that I'd done something, led him down a path that got him some success in his life, and his family were there, and it was fabulous. And that was a big part where I thought, this rugby thing's not a bad thing again now, because I spent many years away, decades away from it, really, apart from when I came back in as an agent. And that's what gave me the drive to think, I like being a bit of a success in the backfield of the rugby, so I'll carry on doing it and see where it goes. And
does that feed into some of what you would have had as a player as well, in the competitive nature? Because I suppose when players are sought after, everybody wants the best players. So in the background, we're all rushing to get there and use whatever mechanisms we can to get them into our tribe.
I love the chase of a negotiation. I love it. I mean, you see my phone going off. I love that part of it. I just love it. I don't know what it is. It's just like, I love the deal. I love the deal. Love the negotiation.
That's the Manchester grit that I'm talking about. I can see it coming through now.
It might be. I love it. When my phone goes, it's like, and sometimes I'll play golf with the lads at weekend, and my phone's going like 20 times on the round, and they're like, I've played shots over the last few weeks with my phone on the ear. It's in the golf because I've got my phone on my ear talking. But I love the chase. I love the negotiations. I love doing the deals. The
builder. That's got to come from something in your history, surely. What would it be if you reflected that maybe like you enjoyed? Talk about cultural architecture, and somebody like a Kev Sinfield who managed that in a team environment. You're obviously doing it from an external perception, looking at what's available and going after the chase and bringing them together and putting this jigsaw. Where does that stem from? What's its origin?
It's interesting that you made me think. I've never really thought about why and where's that come from. I've always been driven in terms of, you do it as a player, you've got to have drive, haven't you, and ambition. But I know what the end goal is. That's to lift a trophy up, isn't it? And that's me seeing the Rhinos lift something up now. That's where I get to, and I know the negotiations are a big part in that. So that's where I'm driven in terms of, let's get the best for the club. Where it comes from, I guess, it's hard to say where it comes from, really. Just that it really excites me. When my phone goes and I see agent, I'm like, oh, here we go. What's the next one? Who we're looking at now? So just within me, I think.
So all the Leeds Rhinos fans out there looking and listening to this will be well in the knowledge that Ian Blease is always on that hunt on the chase. Some great players out there. But obviously, all our driving, we've all got the same job, which is to win trophies, right? We've just got slightly different roles in achieving that job. One of your jobs, one of many, is to bring players in. So looking into the future, you're as competitive as everybody, even the guys on the field, in getting there. So it goes without saying, you're committed to bringing the best players, but there's an excitement there as well in what that might look like on a Leeds Rhinos journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to sell this club much. I've noticed that already. An agent's picking up the phone to me. It's usually, when I first went to Salford, it was like the agent relationship was non-existent, literally. And I won't go into why, but it took me ages to build a relationship. But now I've got agents that I've not dealt with phoning me saying, what about this player? What about this player? So that's going to be a big part. But I don't have to sell the club. That's for sure. It is about the package and giving them security financially. Of course it is. That's part of being a rugby player. And I'll always say, rugby players deserve it. Apart from boxing, I can't think of another tougher sport. So whatever money they get, I think they deserve it tenfold. They really do. So I'll try and package a deal right for a player. I'll communicate with them from the off. The agent relationship is so important with me as well, because if something's gone wrong, I'll need to lay it down to the agent how we can fix that up. We've got to have the right player here. We've got to have the right player who can handle the pressure and wants to win the trophies for the club.
couple of quick fire questions. Favourite book or book you're reading right now?
Do you know what, Jamie? I don't do books.
Interesting.
Sorry,
Audiobooks?
apart from autobiographies, I've read about 5 or 6 autobiographies. That's all I would ever read.
Yep.
But I'll listen to podcasts.
Give us an example. Podcast, what do you enjoy? What sort of sector?
The leadership one that the 2 guys did that Kev was on a while ago. I listened to that quite a lot.
High performance
yes,
podcast?
high performance podcast. I enjoy. It's got to be sport based with me as well.
Okay, right.
So cookery things and things like that. Do not float my boat. So it's always sport. Whatever I listen to or would read would be sport.
Who would be an inspiration? Maybe growing up, somebody you admire, might even be around today.
I had a coach at amateur. I don't know if this resonates with you, but he was called Graham Rees. He was I think he scored the fastest try at Wembley. Don't know if that record still stands. He was a big Welshman. I think he played for St Helens, Salford, Swinton maybe. And he came from where I worked as an apprentice, and my dad worked, and my granddad. He came from a big builder's yard there, and he worked there. My mum knew him as well, because my mum ended up being a secretary there. Called Graham Rees, big Welsh guy, and he coached me at open age when I broke into the open age team at Folly Lane, the amateur team, and he was my look up to. And you know, when you're a young kid and you're trying to be a big presence on the training field, he'd come out and flatten me a couple of times. So he was and he'd give me some good advice before I signed professional. So I would say Graham Rees was my biggest inspiration as a kid growing up, stepping into the rugby league field.
And what do you like to do in spare time? Ian Blease with a bit of time on his hands?
Yeah, not a lot, but golf is my go-to. I think that's where I like picturesque courses. I'm into walking and just looking at things on the golf course, and hopefully get a birdie or 2 or a par along the way. But yeah, golf's my go-to.
Well, we did the AMT golf day at Ilkley, and my jaw just dropped at the view going down. I mean, a beautiful day, and I think there's going to be some content if it's not already gone out on the players. That was a good spot, I imagine. Fabulous
golf course. I played it. I think Colin Montgomery grew up there playing, so I got told. So that was a big inspiration to me on that first tee. But yeah, stunning views on that course, and the river running through it. Beautiful. Just Manchester, just made me think then, obviously massive in sport, and the big football teams. You'll come to Leeds, there's Leeds United, there's Rhinos, we've got a multitude of clubs, there's cricket next door, Yorkshire County Cricket Club, we've got the Leeds Knights. It's quite an intricate, small, tight web actually. Josh Warrington, Nicola Adams, Niall Wilson, you see them all at Rhinos games in and around each other. How important is that in terms of sport for the city, changing lives through sport and bringing the best of the sporting sector under one umbrella? Nothing finer than seeing your city get behind sport for me. I think it's everything that the city breathes, isn't it? You can feel if the sport is right within that city, the culture of the city or the town, wherever it may be, thrives off the back of success, doesn't it? Yeah. We need to get that back here. Yeah. Certainly will do. We've just had a new shirt launch reflective of 2005. I tell you, I'm full of gratitude most days, and that's where I find myself really lucky, because the novelty of Leeds Rhinos has never worn off. It never does, and I'm really looking forward to that journey with both Ian Blease and Brad Arthur, and whatever players we get through the doors. Certainly not least the young kids that we've got coming through. I think there's some really exciting times here at the Leeds Rhinos. I've learned loads today, and I'm looking forward to learning more on that journey. But I'll finish by saying thank you very much to Ian Blease, and hope to see you next time on Box 2.